So, what an equal future looks like to me is probably best summed up by a Ruth Bader Ginsburg quote, one of the Supreme Court justices that kind of rocked the world. But she was asked about, is your goal to have all women on the Supreme Court? And she said, "Why not? We never noticed before that it was all men."
Will be where progression of success is based on talent and ability and nothing else. That is really crucial for me. That should be the only criteria in which people are judged.
I think equal future is where gender is not linked to capability, to performance, to promotion, to progression.
For me, an equal future is a world where everyone has the freedom to live with dignity. That's not only access to basics such as education, healthcare, etc., but also the freedom to pursue their dreams and ambitions.
That women contribute to the growth of their nations.
Everyone has valuable contributions to add and should be listened to and respected for their views.
We actually have people in the places that they should be because of their talents and not held back because of their ascribed status. And that includes things like race and sexual orientation.
I think it should be where we really value individuals as themselves.
An equal future for me would be when we have no Women's Day, and instead we have Humans Day.
Equity, inclusion, social justice, and fairness.
So really value that individuality, and people can be themselves and know that their opinions and their approaches will be valued.
When there are no discussion about gender equality, or topics such as women in STEM or women in engineering, because in future, women are not underrepresented.
I'd love to live in a world where there was equality throughout. So when you see a band playing, you have a mixture of musicians. If you have a woman on the drums or a woman playing the bass or the congas, you don't say, "Wow, how unusual, a woman playing an instrument." It'd be normal to see women and men all playing all instruments. Or you walk in a studio, and if it's a female engineer, you don't think, "Oh, a female engineer." It's normal.
That no girl or woman has to fear for their safety at her home, in schools, in the workplace, or on the street. And it means that women's voices are heard and are present.
That's what I'd like to see.
So yeah, that's really what an equal future looks like to me.
All women who follow their dreams in the face of adversity inspire me. In my field, I say all the amazing women who are out there playing, creating, engineering, and providing inspiration for the next generation. But also, a lot of my students inspire me. There's people who persevere with their studies in both formal and informal with a passion and determination.
Those who, despite all challenges in life, still work hard with a big smile on their face. Those who their achievements is not because of their gender, ethnicity, connection, being there on right time, or ability to present well. They are successful and in leading role because they have worked hard. They are knowledgeable because of their experiences. Those who, when we hear about their triumphs, we all say, well deserved.
In terms of who inspires me at this present time, is I'm inspired by feminists, and especially post-colonial feminists. And that includes angry ones too, because I think they encourage us to analyze and criticize, to express frustration and to complain, but never to let our resistance to inequality ever wane. I really do find it totally inspiring. I think it warns against complacency and gives me that inner energy that I need.
One of the most inspirational women that I know of is Jacinda Ardern. So she is the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and I just think that she has this leadership style where she leads with kindness.
And her name is Dr. Gladys West, and she's a mathematician. She's a woman of colour. She was born in America in 1930 onto a rural farm from quite a poor family. And she fairly early on showed an ability with numbers. And she worked really hard at school and managed to obtain a scholarship, came out with a first, etc. And the assumption was that women at that time would just go into teaching, wasn't seen as anything else that you could do. Couldn't possibly work in commerce or anything like that. But actually, after a year of teaching, she did do that. She then moved, got a role with the Naval Strategic Think Tank. She invented GBS, so GPS, I should say. So if you use Google Maps, if you use anything like that, you raise your hat to Dr. Gladys West because she did the mathematical modelling for it. So she's a hugely influential person that lots of people won't have heard of. But what really impresses with me, her, is her quiet confidence, her determination against almost insurmountable odds.
Well, you know, kind of personally and rather cornily, my mom inspired me. She was a career woman kind of when it wasn't necessarily totally cool to be a career woman. So she was one of those trailblazers that made it easy for the rest of us to follow. But also my students inspire me. One of the reasons I got into teaching from industry was to help transform advertising and public relations, which still has a lot of work to do in terms of opportunities for advancement for women and people of color in particular. And so that's why I'm here. And I have been so stoked to see change happen so quickly within my classrooms. So we have students that are, you know, working at some of the biggest agencies at places like Hevis. We have students that are creative copywriters for places like, you know, clients like the NHS. So, you know, really, really proud to see achievements of all my students, but, you know, since it's International Women's Day, hats off to all my female students.
For anyone starting out, I would say be unapologetically you. I would also say stand up for what you believe in and never forget your values.
Be true to yourself. Don't conform to what society expects of you if that isn't you. Follow your dreams with a passion. But what I'd also say is you have to be serious. You have to work and study hard.
Take advice, find a mentor, and have confidence in your ability and be ambitious.
Work out what you want, work out where you want to be counted and what you want to be counted for.
Know yourself and be aware of your abilities.
As a woman in a man's world, it's not enough to be as good as the men around you. You actually need to be better.
Rock the boat and find mentors, networks, like-minded people that are going to help you swim.
Take steps forward when you know exactly that's what makes you happy.
Don't be scared of sitting at the table because your rights are the exact same rights as anyone else.
Don't be afraid to be yourself and go for it.
Other than that, just be courageous and be bold. That would be my advice.